Yes, people. So this one here is a message to the youngers about the roads. This one here is just to let you lot know that from my thought process and my seeing, the roads is dead. There's no life in it. You know what I mean? There's no future in this road thing. And I'm gonna tell you lot why I say that. Most people don't even know, most youths don't even know, most youngers don't even know I hear that. Most of these elders are working with the feds. Most of these elders are working with the feds, and the reason why I say that is this. You ever seen couple like operations that went down and things that gone down that you think to yourself that man shouldn't have been out here, or he shouldn't even be here? Like, what's going on? That's because he's the one that gave the police the tips. So what they would do is a thing like this, and this is what most men do to stay at the top. They would get youngers to run their thing for them, run their hearing for them and all of that stuff. And then the feds will come to them and say to them, listen, we need you to basically give us something, or else your shit is in jeopardy. So what they would do, they just meet this little young buck. They don't know him. I don't really care for him because it's all about money to some man, innit? Which is just useless paper backed by our own ignorance. So they're just addicted to this lifestyle and addicted to this money. So what they would do, instead of sitting down for 2, 5 years, 10 years, they'll give you up. They'll send you on a run. And when you go on that run, they'll call that police and let them know, listen, my man's going on such and such run. He's going to such and such place, and he's going to be there at such and such time. And you get nicked, and you think, how the fuck did you get nicked? And don't get it twisted. Some men get nicked because of what they decide to do on social media. But you be sitting there thinking, how the fuck did you get nicked? There was only you and that person, probably like 5 of you. So now it's got you wondering, like, preying all probably innocent people who's in your clique, man, them who would ride for you, literally. You're preying them now, and you're not preying the boss, car. Most of us is caught up in this so-called what we call lifestyle, or what we call real worth, innit? The chain, the bling, the cars, and all of that shit, the woman and all of that. That's what we worship. So most of us won't say nothing to the boss. We pre our bridging them. That's why most of the man them in the ends nowadays, they will know a man's a snitch and still go around him and still be his friends and still be cool, hoping that he puts them on one day. You know what I mean? But if that's in his nature, if he puts you on, he's gonna do something, or it's for a reason why he putting you on. You know what I mean? So, not to get it confused with favors, because the world runs off favors. You do something for me, I do something for you. Rich people know that it's not about money. You got oil, I've got a fucking airport strip. You wanna fly? Here, what? Give me this a supply for a year. I'll let your family fly anyway they wanna fly for a year or 2. Adds up the price, innit? Trading. So, what was I saying? Yeah. So it's like these men in the hood now, because they're so addicted to this lifestyle, they don't want to give it up. You're just a man they just meet. To them, there's many of you. There's many little fucking Sams, and there's many little Nicks, and there's many little this, and there's many little that. There's enough of you. Hungry little niggas who feels like they can't do nothing else but trap. So they'll get you lot, friend you lot up, show you lot everything apart from their intimate lifestyle, which is their family life, because they don't want you to get too attached to that. just in case they do decide to snitch you up, you can't bring that back to them, and it might reach the wrong sergeant, right? So, or the wrong district, the wrong firm. So this is what most men are out here doing. The most men are out here, they got problem with you, they're snitching, taking you off the road, snitching. They want to rob you and they can't rob you, snitching. They're using police as a means now. So there's no loyalty. People start trouble, and then when it gets some tops for them, they call police. You know what I mean? So it's like, what's the sense of that? For going jail, sitting down, and now being a product of a system. Now you're in jail, working for how many pence a week, right? And now, remember, as I said in my bars, that the number in your jumper, there's investors for that. So it's a business. When we go prison, everyone gets paid. The warden gets paid, the judge gets paid, the prisoners get the officers, not the prisoners, the officers get paid. Everybody gets paid except you. So it's a big business. You got private prisons now, and that's the next thing as well. They're trying to do it the same thing with the NHS, make it private. So basically they're making everything private for the rich, even to how the way that everything is now. If you ain't checking it, the less of something, the more of it is in demand. The more of something, the less it's worth. And the reason why I say that is because even with the airplanes now, of what's going on, as I said in my last video, what they're doing. But I didn't get on this bit, but I'm going to touch on it briefly. Even with the airport strips, what they're doing. Because, as I said, businesses are closing down, so there's only certain airports in business, and they need to stay afloat. So how much do you think they're going to charge you lot now just to fly home? You know what I mean? They're going to charge you tens of thousands, hundreds. So they're creating it for the rich. But what the poor people need to understand, or the less privileged, let's say, because poor is something you could never come back from, but broke is only temporary. So the less privileged and the broke people, what I say to them is that you're more fortunate, because the rich spend all their riches to be like you, while you're chasing something to be like them. Okay, I'm trying to say to you, because they understand life. We don't understand life. No one's ever taught us life and the meaning of life and the value of life. We don't value it, So we walk around with a chip on our shoulder, plus we ain't got no dads in the home, ADHD, absence of dads in the home. So now we're walking around with all of that stress. We see someone that looks like us, we're broke, we ain't got no money. You know what I mean? We're easily to take our anger than to say, if he was rich and he had money. As I was giving an example the other day, if you step on a rich man's trainers, he's not going to say nothing but, it's alright bro, don't worry, and wipe off his own trainers, depending on how humble he is. But if you step on a broke man's trainers, regardless how humble he is, on the wrong day, he will go off, because he's pissed. Might be his last money he's spending on that trainers. You know what I mean? And as we know, due to how the system's got it, black people, us black men, wear our worth. You know what I mean? As we run into some bag, what we do, we buy the biggest car, the biggest chain, the biggest this, the biggest that, because we don't feel we're appreciated. As they said, a nigga never know love, a black man never knows love until he runs into some real money. You know what I mean? That's when you see everyone start showing you love. And at that point, some men might change. They might become even cold. They don't care. Now they understand that you're only around me for this or that, for that. You know what I mean? So it's a crazy cycle that we need to break, man. I mean, we need to give the youngers the realness, like let them know, let them choose. Because that's one thing our parents, most of our parents didn't do, give us a choice. Tell us their life and then say, this is what life is about and you can make your own decisions. They try to hide things from us. And that's where they go wrong, because they try to hide it, not knowing that we're going to grow up and we're going to analyze stuff for ourselves, and then that's going to make us realize, raw, all the years you've been lying to us. And just like anything, just like any relationship, any business, It runs off trust. Trust. Everything runs off trust. If you can't trust someone, then there's no point. You know? And that's how they got black people. We can't trust none of ourselves. Can't even trust ourselves. You know what I mean? Can't trust nothing. And once we learn how to do that, we're alright. Learn how to trust each other, we're alright. Once I learn how to give you 10 grand and I can tell you to hold that 10 grand and I can disappear for 500 years and come back and you still got that 10 grand, maybe 10.5, that's what will be alright. When we learn how to start feeling for each other. If you punch me and you seeing it happen, you're getting vexed. Especially if it's out of your race. You know what I mean? So this is just a message to the youngers, man. Just educate yourself. Don't be in school and wasting time. Even if you don't love school and you're too advanced for school, because school, as we know, is just to basically get you prepared to hire to people to answer to people in authority. It's like going to the jungle and saying only those who can swim will pass the test. So what about the apes and all of them people who can't swim? So only the fishes is gonna pass. You know what I mean? Like, most of us is not just good with physical things, but we're good with seeing and learning mentally, but we're good with physical, touching our hands, singing. You know, we're good in other ways. You know what I mean? You ever wonder why they call them kids disabled? Special. Them disabled kids special. Because they are special. A disabled child can do something, their brain can do something we can't do. They can hit certain keys in certain instruments. They can draw certain pictures. They can, you know what I mean? They can do some different things. This is why they call them special. They're words. You got to pay attention to words. You know what I mean? Because as what they call it, spell. To set a spell, you need words, right? So you got to be careful what you're doing. You got to be careful what you're saying. You got to be careful what you're showing the youngers. Because kids don't learn off what you tell them to do. They learn off what they see you do. Anything they see you do, they're going to do it. You know what I mean? So be very careful of what you do and what you say. Most of us will cuss our kids. Oh, move with your toffee, or move with your this, or move with your that. You're breaking that child's self-esteem. You're breaking that child's self-esteem. You need to wake up, especially if you have a daughter. Because to have a daughter is to raise a nation. To have a man is just to raise another man. Because I can't create life. A woman can. So you got to nurture them like princesses. Show them they're princesses. And they'll grow that value. And they won't sleep with idiots. They won't go with idiots. Because they know who they are. They know who their dad is. Because a woman's first love is her father. And a man's first love is his mother or his auntie or any woman in his life. Same for a woman, any man in her life. And if she ain't got a man around her, most women tend to sleep around a lot. So you can't blame them. Unless they're grown up and you're trying to teach them and they don't understand, then you got to go. You know what I mean? Because as I was explaining to my cousins the other day, there's 3 types of women in the world. A mother, an in-betweener, and a bitch. And as I classed it, I said to them, when I said a bitch, I didn't even say a bitch, I said a whore. And they went crazy for it. So I said, sorry, let me rephrase myself, a bitch. And one of my cousins says, what's the difference? And I said, the difference is the tone, the vibration, the frequency. You guys call each other bitches every day. So for me to call you a bitch, you won't feel too bad because the world call you that. Your man probably call you that. So you won't see it something. But if he was to call you a whore, which is a one-off, or when a man's really angry, or when a woman and a woman has beef, which rarely happens, well, we know how women are. So that's when they'll call each other whores, because it's the worst thing. So she said, okay, I understand. So anyway, as I was saying to her, there's 3 women in the world. Mother, in-betweener, and the bitch, as I said, the whore. Which the mother is a mother, she's just a nurturer. You don't have to tell her to cook your food. You don't have to tell her to bring you your drink. She knows. Because she can feel. You know? And then you have, as I said in my last video, when a child cries, the mother knows. Because that's a mother. She knows. She's in sync. Then you have the in-betweener who was the mother, that you have men who got hurt, which is a cycle, then run back around and hurt her. So now she has a barrier up, but she's a nurturer, but she has a barrier up. She won't try and love again. She will try and be like what a man is, but she's a nurturer, so she's fighting with herself. So you might see her in the club every now and then or shit like that. Then you have the war, the bitch. She's not a nurturer. She's not nothing like that. She's just a bitch. She was just meant to be. She's just gonna live this life. She's always in the club, always trying to find a man to fuck, always trying to get her way up, always trying to get her means and all shit like that. That's the war. She just live for that fucking goal, one night stands, all of that. And that's where the in-between lays, between the nurturer and the war. So she sometimes may find herself in the company of the war after she's been hurt. So she's now in the club with the war then. But before, she was with the nurturers, the mothers. And not all women are like that, some of them. You know what I mean? I know we're kind of gone from topic to topic, but it's just things that's on my mind, you know, that I just feel to share with the world, you know what I mean? And just let them know. So we just got to be careful what we do with the young ones. They're very precious. They're like roses. You know what I mean? You have to pay attention. You have to water it. That's why you can't rate a man that has 100 kids, even though that's what life tells us. This is why most Caribbean men have so much kids, because they tell you that's what a man is, to have many kids. But if he had 500 businesses, what do you think is going to happen? And it's only you one. Same with a garden. As I said, they're precious, like a garden full of roses. If you was to have a garden full of roses, some of them is going to die, because you won't be able to pay attention to all of them and nurture them the way they need to. You'll be running around to that one. When this one's dying, you're trying to pick it up and it would die. It's just good to have one set of garden, or just one rose, where you can pay attention to it, nurture it, and when it grows big and strong and got its thorns to protect itself, then you move on to the next. You gotta protect them. You know what I mean? To us, all the people that say they're trappers, and all the people say they're ooters or whatever they are, come together, make it work. You got the money, you got the straps. If you know you can lock down areas like the Jews and the sheiks, you can have your own area if you know the law. But because you don't, as they say, if you want to hide anything from a nigga, put it in a book. You know what I mean? And there's some books out there that's millions. You'll never be able to acquire that money to gain that knowledge, because they know how you think. They know your brain process. So imagine you getting that. That's too powerful. So they put certain books so only certain people can afford it, to maintain that knowledge. As I said in my previous video, Illuminati only means to be enlightened. 33 heights of knowledge. Yeah, man. So look out for the olders and the youngers. That's all I'd say. Sure. Gone.